When Partitio is in your party, the general experience is using combats to acquire leaves and JP, and then choosing what items, hires, and abilities are worth it. This system encourages players to recognize two things. First, how to efficiently accumulate resources and wealth. Second, how to identify the best way of using them. This is what it means to be a merchant, and it's the first piece of advice Partitio receives.
A merchant cultivates a discerning eye through knowledge and experience. That means hands-on training is more precious than gold.
Partitio grows up with the belief that his experience is his most valuable possession as a merchant, and we see that his experience has granted him great skill. He's confident in his ability, and he has earned that discerning eye. But there's more to him, more that we see during a time where the town is under threat from looters.
You'd really give coin to a stranger you just met, Partitio?
Of course I would. Folk gotta help each other out if they want to make it in this world.
From the start, Partitio's main care is about the people around him. He wants everyone to share in the success he achieves. This puts him in the position as a trusted leader, even if it is taken advantage of here and there.
We do honest work in our town, and we get honest pay for it. That's why it gets my goat that you scoundrels think you can waltz in here and steal what we shed sweat and blood for.
The reason he wants everyone to share in success is because he values all the work people do alongside him. His childhood was him witnessing the power of a community dedicated to building itself up through work, turning a blank slate of a plot of land into a prosperous town. Because he is a merchant, he uses money to show appreciation for the people who work alongside him. It's as much a part of his vernacular as thank you kindly. This is the concept of his hire and purchase path action. Money is not a way for him to use what people agree to be a fair system to obtain what he wants. It's a way to show how thankful he is to those who choose to work or do business with him, coming from the motivation that he wants them to profit in the success they contribute to. So, what is Partitio worth?
We built this place together. This silver mine is what it is today because of us. Both of us. Right when we're about to grow it even bigger, you hightail it out of here? Why?
Capitalism is a stormy sea, my friend. Its waves rise and fall, and its tides ebb and flow. Fortune has favored us, and a high tide has graced our town. However, the tides are always changing, Pap. Partitio, I'm leaving this town.
Huh?
I won't mince words. This silver mine's days are numbered.
It's strange Rock would tell Pap and Partitio this. They are the ones Rock is swindling. He's a bit of a contradictory character. On one hand, he respects them. They did work with him for 8 years. Rock only has praise to give Partitio, but on the other hand, he is a capitalist, one that wishes to stay on top of the highest tides, even if it's atop his drowning brother and nephew, not by blood, but just listen to the way Rock talks to Partitio.
Look at yourself in a mirror, and you'll see eyes sparkling with excitement. Partitio, I want you to come with me. I want your talent, your drive, your charisma. You possess a rare talent. I've traveled the world over and met few your equal.
Rock taught Partitio how to be a merchant, and it's through that learning that Partitio gains his own sense of self-worth. He is a merchant, and Rock pits this against his care for the town. Rock calls out Partitio. He sees that Partitio wants to go, but instead, Partitio says he can't. He says he wants to stay with the town, but...
Partitio, that sparkle in your eye tells me what's really in your heart. Your gaze is on the horizon, your spirit dancing at the thought of the potential business opportunities out there for you.
Honestly, Partitio doesn't strike me as someone who can hide his true feelings, and Rock doesn't strike me as someone easily deceived. This section is called Your Gaze is on the Horizon, nearly confirming Rock's words as truth. I don't point this out to imply Partitio made the wrong decision or wasn't true to himself. His care for others won out against his desire for greater entrepreneurship. That is admirable and part of why we all love Partitio. I'm pointing this out to show that this was a painful choice for him, and one that he won't forget because it led to immense suffering under poverty.
That contract I signed. Biggest mistake I ever made. The original owner of this plot of land retains the right to buy it back at any time they so please. That rotten landowner let us do all the hard work building this place up, and then snatched the whole thing back once the silver started taking off.
But even with no money, Partitio still gives what he can.
I'm sorry, son. It's me that's keeping you tied to this mess of a place.
Gif is now the representative of the landowner. The only difference between his job now and his earlier position as a thief is that now he's actually able to take more money. How much is Partitio worth? He certainly questions this himself.
Sorry, I want to hire you, but I don't got the leaves. Damn. Sorry, Harry. Sorry, Nikki. It's my fault you're suffering. If only I could make things better. If only I could look out for you. I never imagined it'd end up like this. I never knew what a devil poverty was, or how much pain it could bring.
All the things he's dreamed of, all the people he cares about, he can do nothing. Every action a sacrifice which only serves to prolong the suffering. His father sees that Partitio wants to do more, and Pap wants him not to lose hope in himself.
You'll never lose if you never try, son. But you'll never win either.
I know these words myself. They've been given to me at certain points in my life, points where I froze in fear of the potential things I could lose, while at the same time feeling like there's nothing left to lose. Sometimes these words hurt, and I accuse the person of not understanding my circumstance. Funny how it takes a video game to show me that these words of love come from a father who wants to see his son keep trying. Partitio is in a situation where his generosity and care for others prolong the suffering they face, but instead of turning to selfishness, he does what he wants to do. He goes out to change it all. Gif is the first obstacle in Partitio's way.
Here, a coin made from our silver. Every fortune's made from a pile of these, the little guys. Treat one with contempt and you'll lose them all. That goes for money and for people.
Ablaze from the news that his father was tricked, Partitio defeats Gif and learns that Rock is the landowner. And I want to point out how I interpret the idea of Rock cheating with the contract. One, it shows that this poverty is not Partitio's fault. He did not in any way make the wrong choice by staying with the town. What happened was unnatural, unfair. And two, if Partitio did go with Rock, he would have profited off that exploitation as well. Something Partitio would consider to be far worse than abandoning the town. He would be someone who steals what others shed sweat and blood for. When Partitio wins, it's not just a fight. His goal is to show the worth of people. Even Gif is included, with him being offered a job under Pap. When Partitio says everyone, he means everyone. This creates a theme of a second chance.
Listen, I want you to look to the horizon. You've got a bright future ahead of you. You're gonna be something if I reckon right. Something too big for this little town to contain even if it wanted to.
We managed to weather our troubles here, even if just barely. But somewhere out there, I know there's folks suffering just as much as we did, or worse. I want to do what I can for them. Use my talents to make the world a better place.
I'm proud of you, son.
I'll be back once I eliminate that devil called poverty from the world.
Partitio reaches Clockbank, and the design of the town reveals its purpose. The way to Rock's factory is a straight walk up, but go off the path, whether to explore or to shop, and you'll see that the town is gilded. Go off Rock's path, and you will see brick roads give way to dirt, railings in disrepair, a broken bridge, a slum where the homeless sleep next to litter. All of this out of sight from Clockbank's entrance to Rock's office. This town is a metaphorical stepping stone that Rock walks over to amass his wealth. Partitio steps in one of these alleyways and witnesses how Rock runs his company.
If he's making so much, this whole town should be wealthy and prosperous. So why do I see so many poor folk on the street corners?
Learning what a business card is from Ori, he decides his own will be a coin. If you want to work with Partitio, if you want to know who he is, then recognize what a fortune is made from. Do not treat anyone who contributes to it with contempt. The concept of wealth is seen differently with Rock. His ways of extracting money are cartoonishly hilarious, even including a labor tax, which in the real world is a tax paid from salaries to the government, but in the game, Rock's company is the government. He's the one collecting the taxed wages of the people who work for him. With the Old West aesthetic and Rock's allusion to Rockefeller, this story seems to take inspiration from late 19th century and early 20th century United States. And yes, there were companies that would pay their laborers with scripts only redeemable at company-owned stores, causing workers to fall deeper in debt to the company they work for. Either some research was done to represent that relationship between laborers and companies, or they wrote in what they thought to be the most ridiculously greedy things Rock could possibly be, which just happened to align with United States labor history.
Wealth is a very honest thing, you know. Its true value cannot be realized in the hands of the undeserving. But once possessed by those worthy, it can change the world.
This statement actually places Partitio in a relative place to Rock, as both want to amass wealth to change the world. The difference is who they see as worthy. In Rock's eyes, the one who attains the wealth is most worthy of it, therefore justifying any method he can come up with to squeeze more and more from those under him. How much is Rock worth? Anyway, Partitio ends up working with Floyd to improve the design of the steam engine. Partitio demonstrates his talents as a leader, recognizing the needs of the person he works with and providing for him swiftly, though most importantly, Partitio listens to Floyd.
That's right. Prosperity for all, and all shall benefit. That's my dream.
Prosperity for all, and all will benefit, you said.
I believe steam will save my hometown, and all the other places out there that share its fate.
It'd prove all your master's blood, sweat, and tears were worth it, huh? It'll happen, Floyd.
Their will ends up in conflict with Rock's assistant Thurston, leading to a joke only possible in this pixel artistic medium.
I don't want to fight no doggy dog.
And after fighting the guard dog off, Partitio finally gets a word with Rock.
Sell me the rights to the steam engine. I'll pay whatever price you ask.
80 billion leaves.
I've made up my mind. It's a deal. You want 80 billion? I'll give you 80 billion.
Something Partitio does as a merchant is appraise. Part of this is discerning the true value of a piece of craftsmanship. Because he talked with Floyd, he knows this invention's sole purpose is to benefit those who need it. And because he shares his dream with Floyd, so too does he see the steam engine as his way of achieving his dream. This is why he makes a deal, and there's no amount of money Partitio wouldn't pay for it. It's why he doesn't even flinch when Rock names his price. For those who have played the game, let's put 80 billion in perspective. I have a save file with 100% of the game completed, all chests, items, NPCs, bosses, everything collected and conquered to fully experience the game. I've used multiple builds, one of them focused on obtaining leaves for the purpose of acquiring expensive items and using certain abilities. Even then, I consider myself stingy with what I've received in case I run across some invaluable object that I would have needed to save up for, like the badges from the Merchant's Guild. Even if I never bought the badges, my entire save file would be worth around 1.5 million leaves, making me ask the question, what am I worth? Certainly not 80 billion. It's impressive that Partitio makes this deal because if the option was given to me as the player, I would have hesitated. Now, Partitio admits he has no plan, but due to the respect he's earned from inspiring those around him, Ori gives him a tip. A noble in Wellgrove may provide the capital needed for the deal.
One day, I'll change this world. I'll make it a place where folk can do the jobs they want. I promise you, it won't be long.
First though, Partitio's nose leads him to the scent of commerce. We already witnessed how Partitio made friends with Floyd, and it's similar enough to how he inspires Terry and Audley to the point where I don't have much extra to point out. By now, we know Partitio's character. I will say I love the ship. The overworld becomes a diorama to explore, revealing more locations and secrets to discover, and since Partitio bought the ship, I have to thank him and his story for getting this. Then there's also his interaction with Masood. His answer to Masood's riddle of what is most valuable to a merchant comes from Rock's influence on him, and it's central to the theme of self-worth in Partitio's story. Alrond is as eccentric as he is wealthy. He frequents the town in disguise, which reveals a few things about his character. 1, he desires for people to be genuine, and 2, he cares about the town. He is looking for something within that cannot be found elsewhere, and believes that this is where he may find it. And he does, because Partitio. While Rock and Alrond both have reality-bending levels of wealth, Rock surrounds himself with yes-men and deems those without wealth to have no use, claiming that he is the one deserving of riches since he is the one who can change the world. Alrond, on the other hand, doesn't believe he is capable of much, even with all his wealth. He has a fear of disingenuity, and he doubts the power of his own wealth. This comes from him witnessing his father fail to keep the economic stability of Wellgrove afloat. This is why Alrond asks Partitio to bring Wellgrove back to life again. It turns out, reviving the economic condition of a town is Partitio's specialty. Ori also offers her help, and Partitio asks,
Oh, you'd do that for me?
You betcha. I have a brother, you know. He's got this line he loves bringing out. The world's filled with people groaning under the weight of 1,000 problems. It's fresh ideas like yours that bring a ray of joy into troubled lives. In short, I want to help.
What is Ori worth? Watching this after completing the game brings further weight to each of her words. I wondered a few times, why Partitio? I guess for most other travelers, there are plot circumstances that would keep Ori from getting close, but what I'm trying to express from this question is that I get the impression Partitio is a character partially designed to be the kind of person Ori needed to meet. She states in her diary that he cracked her emotional defenses. In other words, what are the 1,000 problems she faces, and what part of Partitio's character is able to reach her in ways that no one else could? Thurston is the boss fight for this chapter. He was fired by Rock and mistakenly believes he can earn back his position. When he loses, Partitio offers him a job.
What a joke. You don't really believe you can produce 80 billion, do you?
Who knows for sure? Still, I believe I can do it. In the end, a person can't achieve nothing unless they got faith in themselves. Everyone's got a job they're suited for. Only problem's figuring out what that is.
Just like Gif, Partitio gives Thurston a second chance, and I'm fascinated at what Partitio says, because, like Rock, Partitio also has an idea on the type of people who can change the world, but while Rock uses this idea to take value away from others, Partitio uses it to give. The faith he has in himself is something he wishes others to achieve. That's why he forgives Thurston. And someone else in need of faith stands witness. Someone who decides to write Partitio a check for 80 billion leaves. Getting the check to Rock is its own issue, and Partitio has to detour around the main factory of Rock Island. There's a moment halfway through where Partitio crosses a bridge between two sections of the factory. The stage is out of focus, but we can hear Rock's voice. Nothing he says is really important, just lip service to an audience, but I can't help but slow down and listen. It's the view of the ocean, it's the moment to be part of the audience. The last moment of rest before an inevitable confrontation. I like to think that's what Partitio would have done as well.
Partitio, that sparkle in your eye tells me what's really in your heart. Your gaze is on the horizon, your spirit dancing at the thought of the potential business opportunities out there for you.
Sorry, Harry. Sorry, Nikki. It's my fault you're suffering.
You'll never lose if you never try, son. But you'll never win either. Listen, I want you to look to the horizon. You've got a bright future ahead of you. I'm proud of you, son.
The moment can't last forever, of course. We have a deal to make. Though Rock tries to denounce the validity of the check. It's a convincing enough argument as long as you don't think about how unreasonable it is to show up with 80 billion leaves in hard cash to complete a transaction. Alrond comes in with 80 billion leaves in hard cash to complete the transaction. We finally get one answer to the question, what is Partitio worth?
That experience gives me confidence in this declaration. 80 billion leaves is pocket change compared to Partitio's worth. I swear this on the Rondwell family honor. I hereby entrust this fortune of 80 billion to the man you see here before you, Partitio.
When Alrond says he entrusts 80 billion, that's really the case. Open the menu or just check your funds for the purchase path action and 80 billion leaves were deposited into it. 80 billion! Come on, we all had that thought, right? It's 80 billion. Money does a lot more in this game than purchasing weapons and items. Essentially, every problem you face in the game can in some way be solved with money. Even the combat. There is no boss, no challenge, nothing in this game that can withstand the sheer power of a literal boatload of cash. Negotiate schedule shuts down an enemy's entire turn. Hired help does everything else. And with 80 billion, that's enough to effortlessly take down the super bosses in this game. Hundreds, if not thousands of times over. 80 billion. And Partitio gives it away. No, not just Partitio. This is a path action. You give it away. Look, I know that there's a lock on the area. You can't progress until you make the deal, but even if we could, we would make a save file beforehand and leave as a joke just to see what happens, or come back to complete the deal later. Because we want to finish Partitio's story. We have to. Even at the cost of 80 billion leaves. It's pocket change compared to his worth. All reasonable objections exhausted, Rock turns to the unreasonable, in the form of a steam-powered tank.
Fight me, Partitio. I swear I'll pummel capitalist common sense through your thick skull, once and for all.
I'm getting all fired up.
The Steam Tank Obsidian, has a total of 4 sections, the most out of any Chapter 4 boss. Fighting it requires understanding what each part is capable of, while also being wary of your own strengths and weaknesses. If your party has heavy physical defense, then it's better to withstand the Glacius plate while breaking the smokestack. Vice versa if your party can better deal with magical damage. all the while keeping track of Rock's supportive moves and the impending cannon. Okay, yeah. Every battle requires the player to have an understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of both sides, but I do think this boss fight is a test for Merchant's ability to appraise. There are 8 components in this fight, and you must figure out what each one is best suited for. Or just throw money at the problem. That also works.
I'm grateful to you, Mr. Rock. Thanks to you, I experienced abject poverty beyond anything I could have imagined. That's what helped me realize the truth. That things of value, well, they deserve to be shared. I don't yet know just how much of a difference I can make, but I plan to do all I can to share the wealth and help make the world a happier place. That's what being a merchant means to me.
Partitio had to learn what a true sense of self-worth meant through his experience in poverty, and his upbringing in the Ores Rush settlement taught him how to lead by making sure everyone around him is valued. It's easy to divide these virtues as different concepts, but in truth, they're complementary. Things of value deserve to be shared, and when someone with a true sense of self-worth acts on that belief, everyone shares in that value. After the fight, we get a scene of Rock detailing his path. Metaphorical of capitalist concepts, as everything else he does and says is, but without that metaphor, he is just a person who says he wants to see everything crumble away. So, what is Rock worth? Well, the higher path action has Partitio hire him for 1 leaf, but let's remember what that is. It's Partitio's message of making sure not to treat either money or people with contempt. It's the work of his home in Ores Rush. It's his business card. It's what he chooses to represent himself with. Partitio is just one of many.
The future belongs to you now, Partitio. Share your values of sharing value with all. Lead the merchants of this world down a new path.
You're talking big about me leading people and sharing values and whatnot. But that's not how this story goes. Every merchant's got their own ideals and walks their own roads.
I was also talking big about Partitio sharing values and leading and whatnot, and I stand by it. Partitio does these things, no question. But what I think Partitio is trying to tell Rock is that he doesn't use these virtues for the sake of making others follow his path. He does these things because...
Of course, not everything's all rainbows and roses. Sometimes people stumble. My goal's only to help them get back up when they fall.
Partitio doesn't consider himself to be worth more or less than anyone else. He acts on this by helping those who have fallen, giving them another chance to understand their own path and their own value. After this story, I have to ask, what am I worth? In my life, such a question has been painful to face, because I've stumbled. I've stumbled many times. Then there's the other side. Will I only help others to affirm my own worth? Sometimes, yeah. And it's one of the easiest things to fall into, but that's fine. I have my own path, not a destination I've already reached. I need to face the possibility of my failures. Because even though I'll never lose if I don't try, I'll never win either. Partitio's story helps me remember that I will always have another chance to care for myself and for others. Partitio's dream is realized, and the steam engine is used to connect the world, giving many the opportunity to make their own choice on what their path will be. There's one more question I've left open. What is Ori worth? The world doesn't deserve to see another dawn. The life of man is nasty, brutish, and ugly. Why not make it short? She said she sees herself to be just like Partitio, one who truly wants to help others, but like Trousseau, she's been poisoned with an idea of what salvation is.
to liberate its people from their pain, their suffering, and their hatred. I offer this gift of blood. May the flames turn cold and dark.
Ori is a sacrifice. That was her vow, and that was her purpose. However, there's a report that she survived, signs that she hesitated before making her wound lethal. This hesitation came from thoughts of Partitio, who showed her that she can choose her own path, that there is worth in walking toward the dawn. Thank you for watching.